Before we get into the video, roughly about 90% of you watching this video are not subscribed. If you do enjoy any of my content, it helps tremendously to drop a sub, and if you're feeling real bold, turning on the notifications and ringing the bell and liking this video. All those things help even more. I also got Twitch and Twitter links in the description. Thanks in advance, and let's get into the video. In a world where contemporary gaming is vice-gripped by corporatization with its predatory monetization practices, incomplete products being released, and the exploitation of developers and other staff, it can sometimes feel like high-quality games are becoming fewer and farther between. Good art takes time, and there's no way around that. Things are becoming more and more streamlined. Formulas have been developed to retain players on a psychological level and sometimes even on an abusive level. The alienation between developers and players grow wider in a lot of examples. But there are instances in which gaming appears to have been healing itself. The Ascent has thrown some oil into my previously dwindling passion for the future of games. From an indie developing team of 11 people come one of the most beautifully modeled environments, a smooth and responsive twin-stick top-down shooting experience even on mouse and keyboard, an impressively open-world light consisting of voice-acted characters combined with RPG elements such as skill trees, vendors, level ups, and quests. The Ascent has just about everything for everybody. First up, I'm not one who usually hypes up the graphics in games. Like, I literally play old ass PS2 games on stream all the time. I really didn't kill this guy, man. But damn, the Ascent is masterfully crafted. They put 2077 to shame with this level of detail. Straight up looks like something you would see in a movie like Blade Runner or an anime like Akudama Drive. I'm impressed by the incredible work the artist put into designing a world that you're always going to be looking at from above. Like, for example, I appreciate how smoothly the scenery and the rooftops will fade to better your vision. This is probably something standard for top-down shooters, but from someone whose only past experience is Dead Up's arcade, it's insane. Like, look at how me and Selena shoot the wall, and it crumbles and rips apart at our volley of bullets. Is it block? All is like destructible in this game? Yeah, oh my god, okay. That's so cool.
I want to do that again.
Or look at these set pieces that drive the beauty into the face of the player. It's truly incredible how they were able to create such a good looking While yes, this level of detail and fidelity helps build immersion greatly. But that's not to say high poly count equals immersion. In fact, it's all about how you use your polys. It's about, as a developer, what are you putting attention on, and why are you putting attention in that part over another? In other words, what are you trying to get the player to see and thus get them to experience? As an example, all throughout the Ascent, there are these crates scattered across the world that are broken when you walk over them, and have a chance of rewarding health or a small amount of cash. Then there are crates that must be interacted with to open. Most of the time they contain a large health pot or a small piece of gear that can be sold for cash later on. But as you level up, they level up, and the higher level you need to be to interact with them, the higher quality of the loot you'll receive. This all ties together into a well-designed loop for loot, and this is great for treasure hunters like me. I'm constantly reaching for the next upgrade to my stats or my weapons and armor. So when a game is designed well, in my opinion, It appropriately rewards players for their time invested in ratio to the quality of the rewards. And as a player gets stronger, you increase the level of reward by doing what are known as character checks, which by hitting a stat or a level threshold, only does it allow you then to access something that others cannot access. For example, again, on my first playthrough in co-op with Selena, we did the second level post-tutorial, but we hadn't found nearly as many components and weapons and gears I had found in my second solo playthrough. And the reason for this, I think, has to do with Ascent's design, and what has conditioned me to do the longer I play it, which I ultimately think is a good interaction between a player and a game. This leads to further investment, which leads to further rewards, in a feedback loop. That non-verbal communication is not the only way the Ascent built its world. It's also done through literal verbal communications. Having voice-acted main characters in the main quest is definitely commendable for a game of this background, and it's not bad at all. Like, it's not overdramatic or undersold, everyone gets their job done. Next time, I would recommend getting a voice-acted protagonist though. I understand the appeal of a silent protag, and I recognize the extreme labor that has to go into voice acting every dialogue option. It still is a nice touch to have, and that shows that even incredible games have room to improve. But it also should be noted that gameplay is the core of the Ascent, not dialogue and story for the most part, but they more or less act mutually respective for each other. Like, story motivates gameplay, which leads to new story, which leads to new gameplay, which leads to more. This is where I feel the Ascent has the most room to improve. It's not always the easiest to follow what in the world is actually going on, but sometimes that's alright. In this case, the story is about you, an indentured servant. It's about as close as you can get to being functionally a slave without actually being called one. You're servant to a corporation called the Ascent Group. They are a global business on the planet Velis that essentially acts as a private governmental force. This group then inexplicably goes bankrupt and crumbles. And while there is a power vacuum, your player works to prevent opposing factions from rolling over the civilians while you solve the mystery of the bankruptcy. I do wish they covered more about the relationship between the slaves and the businesses, and I wish there was less narrative dissonance between me accidentally killing civilians at the cost of killing gang members, or even killing civilians on purpose. At least that's what I read from it, and what I got from Wikipedia. Some aspects from the setting give me some Bioshock vibes, but the Ascent doesn't get quite nearly as interpersonal as the Bioshock games. But considering this is Neon Giant's first ever game, I'm okay with giving them a pass on writing when they serve such strong. I thought I'd save the best for last here and hold on to the gameplay specifics until the end of the video. Ascent offers a wide variety of weapon archetypes and build opportunities to play around with. Because Ascent doesn't run on an ammo economy, they had to lean all in on building weaponry that each feels unique and powerful. On top of that, we have damage typing. This allows you to use the in-game lore tabs to build weapons and armor best suited around certain defense types. This isn't personally my favorite design choice for any RPG. I like having the freedom to spec bonuses and skills into any tree that I actually like using, rather than switching around armor and weapons that may work against my desires just to tank hits from enemies. But I definitely can see how some people like the rock paper scissors feel of the element types in Ascent. Onto some more specific aspects. Weaponry generally falls into certain families, each coming with their own strengths and weaknesses. First up, we have pistol typing, the old reliable with high accuracy and good range, but typically lower damage and fire rates with smaller ammo counts. Followed by hand cannons that do high damage per shot, but also lack accuracy when firing at their caps. Reload speed is slow, and having slow fire rate in general. The SMGs have high fire rates and high potential DPS and moderate ammo reserves, however they lack the accuracy needed to stay on target at some mid and long ranges. Rifle types have high fire rates, high ammo capacities, and pretty decent accuracy over ranges, but they fall off in damage output per shot. These weapons are more the death by 1,000 cuts type, rather than the heavy damage dealers like shotguns. These deal massive bursts in damage in exchange for incredible amounts of spread and damage fall off over ranges. Those shotguns are king at destroying the melee enemy types that rush you. All these factors make for a very dynamic and engaging gameplay when traversing through Velis. While in combat you typically are going to be bouncing between cover, dodging in and out of the way of enemies, using protective abilities and using destructive abilities on big groups. And once you clear a mission, you get back to a central hub where all of these weapons can be upgraded with components you find out in the wild. You also have 2 more options of interacting with enemies, and that's your throwables and your rechargeable ability. Those can be swapped between offensive, supportive, and defensive roles depending on the modifications you find lying around and the ones that you buy. But you're more likely to find better ones after you upgrade that cyber deck you use for skill checks around the world. All of that being said about the basics of the Ascent, it only gets better when you realize it clocks in at just $30. Half the price of a regular new game for equal to or better than AAA quality. Also, if you got the Game Pass on PC or Xbox, you can download it for free straight up and play it whenever. And that makes it all the more worth playing. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Have you played the Ascent yet? If so, how did you feel about it? If not, will you be playing it now? Also, if you enjoyed the video at all, a subscription, a like, and or a comment would be much appreciated. You can also ring the bell to get notified when I drop new videos, or you can follow my Twitter because I'm always posting when I'm doing something over there. Other than that, some things about me is that I play a lot of old and sometimes newer games over at my Twitch down in the description. Just hit 50 followers and I'd love to have you. Later.